Good morning, everybody. We're so sorry we're starting a little late. We're here with a special edition of IGN Live to kick off the release of the new Assassin's Creed 3 reveal trailer, which will be going up in about 22 minutes. And as you can see, we are downloading it right now. We're going to be watching it for the first time, and we're going to be digging into what we know so far, what we learned from the trailer, and getting you everything you need to know about Assassin's Creed 3. I am Peter Eichemans.
Yeah, I'm Rich.
This is not Mitch. This is Darren from our video team, working very hard to make sure we get the trailer ready for everybody. And Mitch will be joining us very shortly as soon as the trailer's ready to go. So, Rich.
Yeah.
We saw the box art last week. There was a leak of the first image, concept art.
We've seen a bunch of details at this point, and you know, Game Informer's story has even come out finally. You know, they had the first full details on the game. We actually know quite a bit about the game. There's a lot. So there's a lot of gameplay details we don't know.
Yeah.
But we know a lot of basics. We actually have the box art pulled up on our site here, and we know a bit about the main character, right? So his name's Connor. He's half Native American, half English, which presumably means British. So he's actually got kind of a sort of vested interest in sort of both sides, because we know the game is set during the American Revolution.
The year being?
Well,
history test.
So it's a 30-year span, right? Okay. So it's like, I think it's 1753 to 1783, and obviously 1776 being when the Declaration of Independence happens. So, that's sort of like firmly in the middle of the span of years this game will kind of encompass. And, if you kind of think back to Assassin's Creed 2 and 2 Brotherhood and 2 Revelations, the first game actually, Assassin's Creed 2, sorry, encompasses actually quite a bit of time. You're there from Ezio's birth through, most of his youth, and it seems like that's actually what Assassin's Creed 3 is going to do.
Okay, real quick, Rich. For anyone just joining us, like I said, we're going to be debuting the Assassin's Creed 3 trailer here. We're taking all your questions live via Twitter, so send out your messages and your questions, comments to @IGN, #AC3. I'm pulling them up here live as we go, and we're going to get into as much as we possibly can and answer whatever we possibly can.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is as we watch the trailer, we'd love to get your comments and thoughts on the trailer and just your thoughts on the game. I mean, obviously, we haven't played the game, and so this is very early. This is not like some of our other live streams where we played the game and we're answering everything that we've played that you haven't. I actually am very curious to see what people think. It seems like the buzz is just off the charts from what we can tell. People seem very interested. So, but yeah, so I mean, and a few other details. We know it's coming to Xbox 360. We know it's coming to PlayStation 3 and PC. And we know it's coming out this year. October 30th, 2012 is actually the confirmed release date for the United States. Okay. So it's on its way fast. Let's see, what else do we know that it's actually running off a new engine. This is not the same engine that the last 4 games have been running on. Basically, when Assassin's Creed 2 wrapped development, they basically took that team, that core team, and put them on this game. So Brotherhood and Revelations are actually other teams that were just working on developing the story of Ezio. Okay. And so, this is, their A-team or whatever coming over to do the next major rebranding reinstallment, or next installment of Assassin's Creed.
Okay, so kind of going off of that, we're gonna dig into some of what you guys are saying to us and wondering so far. Sure. If this is getting back to the main development team, even though the last 2 games, Brotherhood and Revelations, were done by side teams, Guillermo Ghost is asking, will we see Desmond?
Yeah, so Desmond is in this game. We know that for sure. And all indications seem to be that this is actually going to be Desmond's final game. Okay. What that means, I don't know. Hey, there's Mitch.
This is Mitch Dyer, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Where were we? So, yeah, we do know Desmond's in the game. We know that sort of in Desmond's modern timeline, it's set in the year 2012, which, lines up perfectly. The game's coming towards the end of 2012. End of the year prophecies, Mayans, and all that stuff. So we'll see exactly what happens. We really don't know what extent Desmond factors into this. I mean, the last game, he was sort of on the side.
He was a small part of it.
He was completely optional outside of the beginning and the end. Yeah.
Well, not really.
Nah, not really. So yeah, I mean, yes, he is in the game. We don't know to what extent, though. Yeah.
Okay.
More comments, questions?
Yeah, let's get into it. Rob Herring's asking, or says, I bet the main Templar city will be Lower Manhattan. Britain took it in 1776. Game is set in, with a question mark, 1777 to 1778?
Yeah, so
what settings do you think
I
we're
got my
gonna
crib
see?
notes here. 1753 to 1783, like we were saying, and then obviously there'll be the modern day component. You know, it's very likely that you'll have your modern stuff set in New York because at the very end of Revelations, sort of spoilers, not I don't know really, but Desmond is in New York. Let's put it that way. So I mean, like, there's something there. They were sort of doing some weird, trippy, kind of crazy hints about it and everything, but. So fair assumption that this one he's in New York as well.
That's also where the Mohawk tribe settled, I believe, is in New York.
Oh, look at you!
I know. I did my American
Someone's
history
doing his research. Yeah, and that's actually a good point. That we mentioned Connor's half Native American.
Right.
Mohawk tribe is the tribe that he belongs to.
Okay.
And you actually, from what Ubisoft has said, you actually witness sort of the destruction of his camp or the settlement that he's in, and that sort of spurs him onward into the larger conflict.
Childhood tragedy of some kind. They say.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what happened to Ezio. Altair is a little different, but Ezio, same thing. Some of his family is killed, and he's sort of pushed into this greater conflict. So we're all good. Are we good?
We got it.
Okay, cool.
Oh man, you guys, we are 16 minutes away from premiering the Assassin's Creed 3 first trailer.
It sucks as we have it here, but we can't show it to you for 15 more minutes.
Yeah.
I know, it's here.
I'm watching it.
I can almost catch it. So anyone out there just tuning in, please send over your questions via Twitter to @IGN, #AC3. We're going to try and dig into as much as we know about it so far, what we think we know, and then at 9 o'clock sharp, we're all going to get very quiet and watch the trailer for the first time, and after that, keep sending in your questions. And, we're going to break it down and see what we can see from the trailer and see how it, illuminates more of this game coming out end of October this year. So continue what we were saying before. Let's see. Colin's asking. There's many Collins out there, but one is asking.
This is Moriarty.
Which one of the Collins from The Office is this?
He's saying, and this is kind of speculation beyond even the game itself, he says, with such a diverse time period, do you think there will be follow-up games like the others? Like, he means Brotherhood, Revelations, kind of the side, non-numbered Assassin's Creeds.
I mean, we don't know for sure, right? I think Ubisoft would want to.
Yeah.
But here's the big question, right? So, this is arguably maybe the last full year before the next consoles start really showing up. Mm-hmm. We know that Wii U is showing up this year, but we don't really know where the next Xbox are and where and the PlayStation are. So if they launch next year, what do you do with Assassin's
Be right in the
Creed?
middle.
What you've been working on already.
It's a tricky question for them to answer, and I think that just, we can tell that this game, the interest in Assassin's Creed 3 is just off the charts. So what do you do? I think that Ubisoft would very much like to, capitalize.
Yep.
But how do you do that,
Yeah, exactly.
You just finished your new engine.
Well, we know Desmond's story is ending, so do they start with a new modern character to go back in time again?
I don't know.
Plenty of options.
I mean, and the other strategy that they could eventually adopt is, we saw 2 and 2B and 2R being all Ezio, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you do 3 with Connor, then you go away from Connor, then you come back to Connor.
Yeah,
you could,
that could happen.
Conceivably do that. I think that people might, one of the common complaints about the Assassin's Creed franchise is it comes out every year, and at least the last 3 of them, you're just like Ezio, and they all start feeling the same. So maybe you are switching it up a bit, and then. Maybe that's what you do.
Yeah. Can we bring up this box art real quick, just for one of the first things we know so far?
Maybe.
Peter Fitzsimmons is saying, just straight comment,
Yeah.
I really like the new direction for the third game. So let's take a look at what we know from this.
Straightforward. Yeah, I mean, this is Connor, obviously. A few cool things to show. Obviously, he's fighting the British here. It's important to note, actually, that Ubisoft is saying that it's not black and white in terms of, sort of the colonialists and the British Empire. Like, the colonialists aren't all going to seem like, oh, we're the good guys, we're perfect, and, the British aren't going to be the sort of an evil empire marching in. They want sort of the shades of gray.
Yeah.
It's more focused on the conflict between the Assassins and the Templars in this setting. It's not like pro-America, that sort of stuff. They just want to make sure that people understand that. And we'll show some more of the box art later. But, one of the things that you can actually see sort of hidden in the background is there's another assassin in the background.
Oh, really?
So Connor's there. He's taking out a British dude, but there's another assassin in the background. So Ubi has not given us too many concrete gameplay details, but one of the things we do know is the concept of some sort of brotherhood is there. I don't know how extensive it will be. Obviously when Ezio, by the time Revelations rolls around, that dude's commanding like an army practically. Now, is Connor clearly isn't alone, but how widespread is the brotherhood concept in America? That's sort of the big question, right? Maybe it's just one guy.
Well, and as time goes on, these games distance themselves from the original thing, right? Like Altair was an assassin by, he was born into it and he trained for it and stuff, but Ezio just kind of picked it up on the way and discovered about the temple.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we'll see where this goes.
Like my seat.
I would.
Yeah.
It's really comfortable.
Thank you, Darren, for getting everything
Thanks.
prepped for 12 minutes from now. We are looking at the first ever look at Assassin's Creed 3 in action. We'll be premiering it right here, live. Send your questions to us via Twitter to @IGN, #AC3. We're going to get to as many as possible, but in a lot of ways, we're just learning about this all too. Currently, we have the same imagery you guys do, and as much as we've been, we're in this together. So let's see. This is actually a good question based on this box art we're looking at already.
Sure.
Let's see.
Yeah, we've got box art up on the screen, and I mean, like I was saying, sort of. So if you look at Connor, he's in the middle, just slightly to the right, over his shoulder, kind of behind the American flag. That's an assassin. It's a dude wearing kind of the traditional hooded garb and everything. Seems to be carrying some sort of rifle, musket of some sort.
And actually, real quick, Donen is asking, which is kind of funny. I'm sorry about your name. If I butchered that, I apologize.
It's impossible to pronounce.
Do you think we'll see some new outfits? That white robe could be a bit conspicuous.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, let's not forget though, like snow.
Snow, yeah, that's true.
It's snowy on the East Coast.
We're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, snow all over the place, and that's actually an important point too. Is with Assassin's Creed 2 and those 3 games, you're looking at a lot of big cities. Well-established cities, very tall cities, for that time period. And a big element of Assassin's Creed 3 is actually the frontier. Ubisoft has actually said about a third of the game's core missions and stuff are actually set in the frontier, in the wilderness.
So to continue that too, Arspbiscuit is asking, how will free running work since there are lots of forested areas?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, apparently, in a sense, you'll be taking to the trees and the mountains and the hills and stuff like that, kind of similarly to how you might a building, right?
Yeah.
So now you'll be scaling a tree versus a building,
Could be some sweet stuff going on with the bow in the trees, all sorts of stuff.
Exactly.
Can we jump over to the look at the first concept art that was leaked?
Yeah, sure.
It's funny, the first time I saw this, I just thought he had really giant pants. But it's the way his legs are bent.
Right.
Actually reveal a lot, because let's see, right here we're S. Gayton27 is asking, any info on new weapons? Brotherhood had the crossbow, and Revelations had the bomb. So what's next for AC3?
Sure. So I mean,
some of that's here.
The big one's right in his right hand, right here. You're looking at the hatchet. You can even catch like right here where sort of my mouse is pointing. There's an assassin's logo just sort of like etched into the hatchet. So, if Connor had a hatchet or was proficient with a hatchet before he sort of gets pulled into this, someone's clearly giving him a new hatchet. Either that or he's just very lucky and his hatchet happens to look just like an assassin's logo. But so the hatchet's going to be shown in a big way. And then obviously looking at sort of guns for the time period, the muskets and and flintlock pistols or whatever. Bow and arrow.
Yep.
That's obviously a big one. So those are the big ones we've seen so far, based on just box art, hatchet again, bow and arrow.
Is the hidden blade back? It's kind
hidden
of hard
blade
to
is
tell
back
on his left hand. It looks like it's there.
The hidden blade is back, but we haven't seen it in action. Although, I mean, this shot's interesting because his hand's sort of like placed like he might be using the hidden blade, but then obviously he's getting ready to.
Could be.
Maybe he's just making sure the hidden blade's already in, and he's just finishing the job.
I hope he hits, because if he misses, man.
For anyone just joining us, in 8 minutes, we are premiering the Assassin's Creed 3 first ever trailer. We're watching it right alongside you guys. We're going to ask you to be quiet, keep it down out there, so we can all get these details together.
All you guys on the internet, shut up.
Applies to you too, Peter.
Send over your questions via Twitter to @IGN, #AC3. We're digging into what you guys think, what you guys want to know, and trying to answer absolutely everything we can about, trying to pull on some of our high school American history knowledge.
Not mine.
I got a 5 on that AP test. I remember nothing.
I don't even know what that means, man. I'm from Canada. I didn't know my Canadian history.
Oh, nice. All right, good.
I'm going in blind.
You know, we're talking about the weaponry, and actually one of the things that Ubisoft has said is that their focus, and obviously we'll see how this comes across when we actually play the game, which is probably like a month from now, but is the game is supposed to be more aggressive. Connor is supposed to be more aggressive and antagonistic towards his enemies. I mean, I think one of the big things that we all noticed with the other games is that for the most part, you walk up to a dude and then you hold block, and then you wait, and then he attacks, you counter, and then you just chop at him, and you know, and you kind of rinse, repeat, and you know, there was certainly more to the gameplay than that, but that's what you could do.
Yeah.
And apparently, Connor is a bit different. Apparently, all the animations are different. I mean, one of the things they're really trying to bring across with this is that this is a major shift for the series. This team has been working for over 2 years on this. And we'll see what happens, right? I mean, you got to keep some of your franchise intact.
Absolutely.
You can't just be like, well,
yeah, I definitely
those other
found
4
myself,
games, no big deal.
Once we got to Revelations last fall, I'm still doing the same thing, you know? Sure, there were bombs and grenades. I barely touched them.
No.
Sure.
I think it's just because I've been trained for so many games in a row to play kind of the same way.
Right.
And,
yeah, I mean, it works. So why
yeah.
would you not do that already works, you know, the previous games? I mean, I thought the hook blade was kind of an interesting addition.
Yeah, it helped make some jumps and speed a few things up.
Because it was kind of exactly the same ability
Well,
you had
I did
in
like
earlier games.
zip lining. That was kind of
cool,
cool.
yeah.
You know, I mean,
Good assassination
but that was the
like that.
thing, right? Is like 2B, 2R were incremental upgrades. They were annual installment upgrades to 2, and you know, so you're just kind of
big shift is kind of this team's game, though. Like the first between 1 and 2, massive shift,
Jump, yeah, huge jump.
huge overhaul. And if it's the same crew, we could be seeing something very similar.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this history a little bit. So we're getting a lot of questions about people coming up with ideas about the time period and having some thoughts on that.
No, Abraham Lincoln is not in this game. I actually saw somebody make that comment. The Civil War is far away from this.
20 years, yeah.
Abraham Lincoln is not being assassinated. Please go look at a history book.
Bruna says,
Even I knew that.
Okay,
greetings from Brazil. What is up, Brazil? Good morning, or good after, what time is it there?
No.
Hi, Brazil.
They're like,
He's asking, in our opinion,
Somewhat close.
who will be the Templar historical villain?
I see. I mean,
the queen.
but that's the king, technically.
Man, I don't know
It's
anything
fine.
about
It's
history.
It's okay. They have a queen now.
Okay.
It used to be a king.
Yep.
That's sort of the big question, right? Is because your instinct tells you British, somebody, something, right?
Yeah.
But Ubisoft, again, has made it kind of clear that that's not necessarily what you might expect. You will be seeing figures like George Washington and Ben Franklin, and actually how amazing would
Twist.
it be if
Villains.
George Washington, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
I was just about to say that. How awesome would that be if they were actually the villains? But yeah, so I mean, you will be seeing historical figures in the game, but who exactly is a bad guy and who is a good guy actually might be a little more suspect than you think, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Perhaps
anyone-
it is the same villain as the guy in The Patriot starring Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah, the Jason Isaacs dude.
Dude,
scowls
Jason
a lot.
You
Isaacs
already
himself.
remember more about that movie than I do. I was just making
anyone-
a broad joke.
Anyone just tune in, we're 4 minutes away from premiering the Assassin's Creed 3 first ever trailer. First glimpse of the game in action we're going to see. Tweet over your questions to @IGN, #AC3. We're going into some stuff right now. We're going to all go silent and take a look at the trailer together in 4 minutes.
Do I just press play on this? Because the plan changed now.
We want to make sure we get it right for you guys.
It's live, right?
So while he's figuring out the tech stuff, Mitch, what do you think here? Whitney Whelan's
Am I just
asking,
clicking play
with the
'cause I was dragging it over?
Constitutional Convention, which you remember really well,
yeah, I
of course.
remember vividly.
Do you think the Templars will be present to try and shape the government structure?
Yeah.
During the Constitutional Convention takes place during this time period.
Right.
Right.
The big,
That's going to be very
end of that
different if
timeline.
Connor breaks in.
Yeah,
Maybe Connor writes it himself.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, how are they
How
going
is
to
you,
shoehorn him
Thomas
into
Jefferson?
it? He's going to sign it like, I am John Hancock.
Yeah, exactly.
See,
So anyway,
on top of that, like additional events, John Barley's saying, hey, do you think we'll be able to visit any famous battles or events
Yes.
like the Tea Party?
Valley Forge for sure, right?
year was
We're
that?
thinking?
I mean, a lot of this stuff takes. I mean, so 1753, and please forgive me if I'm butchering this because it's live and I'm not. You know, I have vague notes. The French-Indian War that took place before the American Revolution. That takes place roughly towards the beginning of this game.
Okay.
So you're actually 1753 is prior to the Revolution and a lot of the big conflicts with the British. And so you actually might see a lot before then.
Like Paul Revere, British are coming.
Sure. I mean,
1 if by sea, 2 if by land,
conceivably
3
all
if
that
by
is in here.
Assassin.
Conceivably all that. What?
I don't know.
I guess he's on Paul Revere's side.
Conceivably all that could be in here. It just depends on how they want to frame the game, really.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're talking about a 30-year history, so you're gonna have to jump around a little bit.
Absolutely.
So you know, I mean, is Connor gonna be a kid kind of during some of this?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like,
Yeah,
at what
how
point,
old is he?
Yeah, how old is he at in 1753? Do we think he's a kid, or do we think he's going to be like 20 by then and maybe aged, kind of like Ezio did throughout the series?
Yeah, because by the time the war's starting, he'd be like 25 if he was born around the beginning of this game. Which seems about the right age for a very nimble assassin.
Yeah.
Everybody, we are 2 minutes away from premiering the Assassin's Creed 3 first ever trailer. We're getting a little bit excited in here.
A little bit.
The excitement is palpable. Tweet over your questions to @IGN, #AC3. We're going to get into as much as possible, and as soon as 1.5 minutes are up from now, we're all going to go very silent. We'll ask you to as well, please, out there on the internet. And we'll dig into this trailer. We're going to watch it once. We'll give you our reactions, tell you what we notice, and then we'll probably watch it again and go a little slower and talk about some more stuff that this trailer reveals that we didn't know from the box art and these little amounts of details that have leaked out so far.
Yeah, and I mean, that's sort of an interesting thing about this trailer is like...
1 minute, guys.
Ubisoft is going to be pretty cautious, I think. You know, there's a lot we still don't know. You know, we had a full cover story in Game Informer, and there's still a lot we don't know. So, you know, I would think you're just, you know, you're going to get like an overview of the game, right?
The information that's out there is really, really basic level stuff.
It is, yeah. I mean, we know about the character, but like, do we know how he plays? You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of technical details where Ubi is sort of like, yeah, there's a brotherhood.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready?
Before we get into too much, it's 8:59. This is going to take over any minute now. We're going to hit play on this first ever trailer. Tweet us your questions to @IGN, #AC3. We're going to go silent. You're not going to hear from us for a while. We're going to do the trailer. It's 9 a.m. Are you guys ready? Assassin's Creed 3, the trailer.